Come on, big gold belt. Come on, y'all.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we have finally reached the end because it is time to get into the finale episode of season 2 of Bel-Air, which this episode 10, is titled Don't Look Back. Adversary and I are ready to break this episode down, but also let's reflect about season 2 as a whole. And then we're going to start off right with that. You all can get in the comments, let us know your thoughts about season 2. And overall your thoughts about tonight's episode as well, and give us your predictions and should I say wish list for things you want for season 3. Adversary, looking back now at season 2, man, what did you think overall about this season?
And this joint was fire, bro. I can't, at the risk of sounding like a broken record, it was very well written and executed season 1. Like, I already knew they was on to something. For them to come back with a season 2, I feel like the season 2 usually is more of the dice roll, because when you achieve something that's great, it's not always easy to replicate it. So for them to be able to literally pick up right where they left off, have the same energy, the same bang, the same pop, whatever with the episodes, the depth at which they take some of the characters, the situations that come up, how they get handled. Everything that I loved about season 1 carried over seamlessly into season 2 and was executed at a top level. So I'm already looking like, season 3 about to look like. I'm ready.
Yeah, it's definitely been a great season. I think they did a good job in taking the magic from season 1, doubling down on that, but also getting us invested into other characters outside of Will. And I think this season gave us a lot with Hilary, gave us a lot with Jazz, gave us a lot with Aunt Viv. Where season 1 focused on Will, got some Uncle Phil. This season obviously gave us a lot with G. So there's just a lot of reasons why like this season just keeps this season just kept getting better and better, but ultimately kept us invested the entire time. And yeah, all roads lead to season 3. I'm waiting for that announcement. So Peacock, go ahead and get it done.
Inevitable announcement.
Yeah, get it done. I don't want to be waiting. And granted, it was a year turnaround till from season 1 to season 2. So just go ahead, let them get back to work. Do what you do. Announce some additional casting. Get the excitement rolling, man. This is one of Peacock's flagship shows, and I think they need to treat it as such. So I want to hear that announcement that this was greenlit for a couple of more seasons. That way, we don't even got to be on edge, because right now, in the world of uncertainty, we can very much wish for season 3, but you just don't know nowadays, man. And it's deserving, without a doubt, it's deserving. But again, folks, y'all get in the comments, let us know your thoughts about season 2, your thoughts about episode 10, and then your predictions, your wish, your desires for a season 3 of Bel-Air. And I think for me going forward, I'm going to say this a couple of times tonight, I want to see more from Ashley. I think we got a lot going forward with this character, but I really want to see more as she continues to grow, as she continues to still be the anchor of the family. And as they're getting ready for summertime, what does Ashley's summer look like when she's away from academics, when she's away from more of a structural life? What trouble does she get into? All kids get into trouble. So what's going to be her predicament? Because our arc, beyond being the centerpiece of the family, was the situation with Olivia, and obviously the situation that happened in school. But you remove the school stuff, then what do you got? And that's, I think, could be interesting. So we'll see. More cameos too. Beggars can't be choosers, because they gave us a lot, but hell, give us more.
And they can go 100 different directions with the cameos. Like, I'm waiting for them to bring back the original Jeffrey and make him somebody. Bring back dude that played Lou, the original Lou. Make him somebody. Like, they got options.
Yeah, having Tatiana Ali, I wanted a lot more of her. I think her cameo was definitely special, but they kind of announced it like she was going to stick around a lot more. So we'll see if she comes back season 3. But I agree. I want to see more of the original cast members, and let's not at all forget to acknowledge what they did at the end of this at the end of this season, at the end of this episode, because they wanted to make sure too that they gave credit and a special thanks to the iconic original cast members, and also giving love to the late great James Avery. So, even with them in the success of season 2, they still got in sight of the OG cast members and everything that they done. And I got to think that is an invitation for them to want more to come. And I again, we had a chance to speak to some of the cast members here at Big Go Bell Media, and I think much like the fans, there's a little bit of a hesitation when you test something so iconic. But I think once they got in the groove, once they seen enough of the good signs that this was going to be handled correctly, I think more and more people are going to return. I think people are going to be like, you know what? I need to be a part of that. This is operating the way that keeps our integrity straight, but also gives something to this generation, and we all can eat and have fun at the same time. And when you bring back the OG moms, I mean, what more stamp of approval do you need? And God knows if James Avery was alive, no-brainer. No-brainer.
Absolutely.
No-brainer.
The original and Viv pop up somewhere. You know what I mean? And I think, to your point, like, in a lot of cases, people be afraid to touch classics. And I would agree in most cases. Some things should just be left alone, left as we remember them, and just be great. However, because something is great does not mean it can't be revisited. It's just about the strategy. And I'll give you a quick example. As kids growing up, we remember Crisscross. You remember when you heard Jump. When Jump came on, the party, we literally got to jumping, right? Years, decades later, you hear the beat, you hear the jump, the Magda to make you, and that's always going to be in your mind forever. But Nipsey Hussle, rest in peace, came in, took a classic instrumental that nobody had touched and flipped it.
Yeah.
Named Nipsey. Hustle, had the girl singing in the background. In essence, turned it into a new song. We knew the beat, we knew the vibe, but he gave a whole new life to it. Right. Yeah. And you can look at that example in many ways. Like, you have songs that so and so rapped on that song, that's a classic, don't touch it. But you got to keep it 100. If another MC comes along and destroys a 16 or a 32 or whatever it is, and really give you some bars on that John and really make it rock, you can't. Like, yo, he did that.
Yeah, I think Chris Brown's been doing a good job in taking some classics and, adding his own twist or rendition or remix to it. But while you are going on the positive side of this, I can also go on the negative side and say, well, there was this thing called House Party. Womp. Yeah. And then very soon we're about to get White Man Can't Jump, and I'm not even looking in that direction. I'm good.
To that point, that's exactly why I say that it's not so much that you can't revisit the classic. You have to have the right strategy, the right game plan. I think that's the difference. When they revisited Bel-Air, they had the game plan, and it's worked flawlessly.
Yeah, they're the blueprint for this, and all the folks involved in getting this done, and you can even say Will Smith and also his shall I say his blessing or just his endorsement, shall I say, of it as well. And this, a lot of passion from the cast members, a lot of passion from the writers and showrunners and everybody. I think like they absolutely got something special, and hopefully they can keep the band together and keep rocking out, because they're on to something. This needs to be 9-10 season long series, because if they're going to keep writing in this capacity of taking these normal tropes that we get in these stories and going the opposite way, giving us something new and refreshing, they're going to keep us invested, and I think that if this was only a season 1, it just feels that good. And I think that's sort of going to be the reaction going forward, is that each season is just going to be so good, self-contained, that you're going to want more. You're going to either want to go look back at the previous season, or you're going to be fiending for that next season. And overall, I still think this is one of the best series. I ultimately think this is still a very low-key hidden gem that some people still haven't totally opened up to. But again, let this get in stride. Let it be announced for a couple of seasons. At least extend this to 5 seasons, and then let them get in groove with no hesitation, man. When you know that you can sit down and you can stay for a while, I think people are going to start letting it go. And I think We've seen that from season 1 to season 2, but now from season 2 to season 3, they're going full gear, as I like to say, pedal to the metal, but pedal all the way to the oil pan. They're gonna hammer this thing down.
Right.
That's what I'm looking forward to, man. And it's good. It's going to be good to see this cast grow. That's the other thing. These young talent, Jabari getting older in his premiere show, you know, it's going to be a special thing. And this around the board, you're just going to see them. Ollie, who plays Carlton, just seeing them grow, I think will be special if they can keep this grounded and signed on for a couple of years. Peacock get it done. That's my whole spiel here.
Which I think when the demand is large enough, like, are you familiar with Scott Pilgrim?
Yeah, I know what you're getting at here. That's a cult following.
For those who don't know, there's a movie called Scott Pilgrim versus the World. Based on the movie, they made a video game.
Yeah,
video game was very popular. Video game got delisted, which means if you did not download it in the time it was available, you couldn't play it.
Yeah,
it was delisted for, I believe, a 10-year stretch, at least 10 to 12 years. The demand was so great for that game to come back. They finally republished it, I believe a year and a half ago. They re-released it for the current consoles.
Yeah, animated show coming out now with the original cast.
Oh, kill! See, and I didn't even know that. Demand is large enough, they'll figure it out.
Yep. But let's get into tonight's episode, folks. Get in the chat, let us know your thoughts about it, and let's start right now. As we got Will back balling on the streets, back at Venice Beach, running his mouth. Will is on 1,000. Obviously, Will is very frustrated based on the results of last episode, where, you know, Phil did not want to help Doc. Obviously, sort of that temptation, but also sort of just like influence, or I'm struggling for the word here, but that's sort of that pressure that the other Zenith ballers kind of put in Will's mind in terms of that conflict now about how he feels about Doc. But whatever it is, when Will gets in this mode, he goes back to what he knows. He goes back to West Philly Will, and he's out there balling, skipping first period, also dissing his man Jazz. I mean, he's definitely off something. I don't know if there's something to absolutely talk about right this second, but we're seeing Will in the way that we've seen Will sort of in the beginning of season 1, episode 1, where it's like, oh, this guy's kind of rough. This ain't the charming guy that we know. So, you know, obviously all the triggers around him sent them back into the person that, you know, he's known to be, or can be, shall I say. Carlton, on the other hand, also resorting back to who we know him to be, as he's getting high at the locker. And as we hear that the Princeton recruiters here wants to meet him, he's also has a lot of pressure on his back, because they're saying, hey man, you gotta win this Founders Award, man, because this ain't just a win for you, this is a win for us. As whatever the teacher name or administrator name is, throws that at him. Listen, I'm just gonna say this right now, you can chime in if you got something to say. I already knew there was some home cooking going on with this award show. I mean, listen, she's doing locker visits. She's out here swaying his mind. I'm like, oh, nah, she cooking the votes right now.
Yep.
Oh, man.
Happens all the time.
All the time, man. All the time. But here's the scene that I will start our first discussion tonight. Is with Will and Lisa on the beach, and Lisa shows up, says, I got your message. It says you seem like you needed a friend. God, I love me some Lisa, man. That's as A1 as it gets. And I mean, she keeps it 100. Said, listen, you was there for me, let me be there for you. That's a very, very right and sensitive way to approach a situation, because typically what people say is, well, you was there for me, so I'm gonna be there for you. So it's like oh, you did me a favor, let me do you a favor. But instead she says, you was there for me, so let me be there for you, which I feel like that wording, that just one word of a change, feels more sincere for somebody who genuinely cares about what you're going through. But as they agree, you know, we need to show up for each other. Lisa always talking about community, which is, you know, again, great qualities of a person. And she says, you know, is you know, are we just going to be friends? And Will decides to ask, is it best? Is this what's best for us? Just stay friends. And she agrees that yes, let's just be friends and hug. What did you think of this whole interaction between Will and Lisa? And with your answer here, let's just reflect back on their journey, man. Did you at this moment, man, where did you think this was going?
Well, again, as we always talk about the foreshadowing, the only reason he would ask her if she felt that was best is because somewhere in the episode he was going to shoot his shot. Right from the wall there. Because otherwise there's no reason for him to ask that, especially if you look at their interaction in the last, pretty much throughout the season and even toward the end of season 1. It was set up and played in a way where it was, they led the viewers to believe, oh, that chapter is over and done with. Flirt on the edge of all these various scenarios, and then now when the dad and the stepmom is having the baby and everything comes to a crux with Drew and Carlton and all these heavily swirling issues that Lisa has, and then boom, Will pops back up and kind of consoles her and kind of reminds her of that feeling, I guess, that she had. And then now, like you said, and now she's coming back, returning the favor on his end, doing the same thing. So I get it. Now feelings are coming back. Things are being remembered. So it's only right that he asked. But as soon as he said it, I said, I know where this is going.
Do you think it's fair for Jackie to be out the picture the way she is right now?
It's tough. I don't know that fair is the word I would use. I think I would look at it more like it's collateral damage. I feel that for the most part, her intentions were genuine for Will. However, if I look at the whole picture, I have to take into account that she knew what was up, at least with her uncle. That's her family. She's not going to snitch, but at the same time, what he's doing could potentially jeopardize what Will has going on. So by not divulging that, and again, because her uncle told her not to, so it's tough. Because her character was placed in a position that, I don't know if I could say, oh, she's totally wrong. If a family member or somebody real close to me told me, hey, dog, keep this shit to yourself. Say something such. Even though I knew not saying something to such and such may hurt them or whatever down the line, it's like, what do you really do? So I feel like and even the little interaction they had at the party, it wasn't a aggressive, I can't believe you ain't. It was cool. It was just more so like, it is what it is. And I'm not there anymore.
Yeah, I think it's kind of BS that he forgives Doc, but doesn't forgive her. I think she has her own bit of history and things she's working through, and Will also does too. So I think why he's forgiven of Carlton, which we, granted, that's his brother. I know it's his cousin, but I say I'm your ace. They're brothers essentially. I was kind of. A lot of people, I think, were kind of could been raised in households where your cousin, essentially, y'all are raised like brothers, so it's not like a normal thing here. But I think, like, to forgive Carlton, to forgive Phil, to forgive Doc, but not to forgive Jackie.
Mm-hmm.
And he also played a part into kind of being disruptive to their situation too. One, you picked Lisa over her, left her hanging. That's messed up. You talk about he's talking about folks being around him, always letting him down. Well, how many people do you think have exited her life and left her hanging?
Yeah,
where Doc, as he said, had to step up to be the one to take care of her.
Right.
I think there's a fair argument to say, like, you're causing the same damage that you wouldn't want to happen to you. And I think they deserve a little. I think she deserves a lot more than this very behind the back sneaky tactic they're doing with Lisa. Now, granted, Lisa, as I said, seems to always be the right choice, but I also think I think there's like this sort of this thrill of the hunt with Lisa, because Lisa's like friends, and he's just like nah. I'm gonna try my hand.
Yeah, and it's like they both know they want each other. That's what I was kind of saying, yelling at the screen.
I think,
just go get her. Come on, that.
And I think that I think this is like a case of women who just always fall for the wrong guy. Like, I think she's a good person. I think that she falls for Will because Will has charm, he has game. I think Will has good intentions, and I think at times they really mesh good together. But like, granted, she needs to remember exactly what happened initially, where Will gets a new shiny toy. Then he's kind of like, oh, this little being that this little safe area isn't so much fun anymore. And I think like she's risking getting her feelings hurt again. And I'm not even saying that as a biased way, but I'm saying that in the way of just like Lisa. I think Will's after Lisa because, well, there's this whole, again, the thrill of the hunt where there's Lisa and Drew, where he clearly doesn't want Drew to have her. And he doesn't probably want anybody to have her. He just wants to make sure that she is available for him. Because even when Jackie pulls up the way she did, he's still checking for Lisa. Like, man, she's not checking for me no more. What's the problem, you know?
But I think maybe, and I guess this remains to be seen if there is a season 3. I think through all the ups and downs of season 2, he finally, you know, bumped his head and realized, like, yo, you know what? I'm kind of tripping because the main.
I would love to know where that point was.
To use her, I don't know when exactly it occurred. Even if this episode, him asking her at the beach, and then again at the party, him because even there he had a choice. When Jackie came, he could have just left it at that and just went back to rapping to Jackie. But he had his eye on Lisa. He looks up, she's gone, and he ran after her and was like, "Yo, what's good?" And then when she was like, "No, we just got to be friends. We got to be friends," and then he used her quote against her. Well, sometimes life give us not what we want, but what we need. And I need you in my life. So maybe he had that moment of clarity of like, yo, in all this chaos, she is the one thing that's kind of peaceful.
Yeah.
Now, how that plays out, like you said, remains to be seen. But I think maybe he had a little bit of an epiphany.
Or yeah, I was gonna say a connection. Yeah, something. Anyway, Hilary and LaMarcus, because LaMarcus is spitting his game too. And LaMarcus is spitting his game in a very, I think he's operating in the sense of like a turtle. Like he's kind of like, yeah, I'm gonna take you to Paris, but like, you know, we're gonna still move. This is my bye week. We're not gonna do a lot. We're just gonna move, you know, very easily, very suddenly. You know?
Remember when I made, I think it was the last episode or the one before. Remember, dog, these dudes ain't fools. When he's saying what he's saying, you can present that, oh, slow walking, and we'll take it to. He know what he doing the whole time. He's on some, yeah, let's chill. Like how many people you know be like, yo, let's be on some chill shit, and then they going to Paris. Like who does that?
So what you're proposing here?
Yeah, what I think I hear you saying is you need a break. All right, let's go to France. What? if that ain't gonna get the drawers wet, come on, bro. He know.
So you think that because they already had the hot tub thing, you think that he actually trying to commit to her, or you think he just running game?
I think he's running game in order to secure her. Now, how honorable his intentions are at the end of the road, I could only speculate. But I think he's going very hard. He's kind of going at her neck because remember a couple episodes back, he said, yo, now that I came back and I seen her and I really realized what I lost, like I'm never letting her go again. So I think he's trying to go ham to lock her down, and then maybe he can kind of ease up and just let them do it. And that's so hey, well, yeah, let's do this, do that. He know what he doing.
I hope Will ain't playing this same game. Protective of Lisa out here, you know.
Yeah, he ain't flying her to Paris on a whim.
But on the other hand, Hilary would have to then start to lose focus in all of her efforts for the influencer house if she decides to essentially become the trophy wife or the trophy girl, whatever you want to call it here, because he's ready to wine and dine her fly all around and, you know, continue his career and whatnot. But, you know, this becomes a distraction for somebody who's been grinding this entire time, you know, taking a week off, you know, as a person that operates here at Big Go Bell Media, taking a week off hurts, man. I tell you, it's love, but it hurts in terms of every bit of the production that you've been making. So, we have to see what happens. We kind of know what happens at them, but we're definitely going to have to see what this means going forward for next season. And in another relationship here, we have Phil and Erica as Phil completely lays out his elaborate next steps. His new law firm, Phil Banks and Associates. Again, his next big move. James is going to run the legacy firm. But what about Carson and Lake, as Erica wants to know? He says, nah, I'm gonna operate as a smaller entity under him. And while they may have something to say about that, let's also remember about, well, one, me being a minority, and optics, folks. And you know about optics, right?
These writers be hitting the nail on the head, dog. Yes, the optics. Very unfortunate that a lot of circumstances boil down to that, but that it's so accurate.
Absolutely.
It's how shit looks, whether it's accurate or not.
Yeah, absolutely. And then Janice and Viv, as seems to be a productive, just nice conversation about a bunch of different stuff until it got down to the nitty gritty of Janice saying, so I heard they try to give you my position and I ain't going out without a fight. And Viv said, let there be war. But the important thing that came out of this is that, well, they are trying to pin two Black women in a position that may never be in the hands of another person of color for a long time, which absolutely is destructive, and the media will eat it up, which, man, you talking about the writers hitting in on that last point. Somebody got something off their chest on this one, because somebody said, let me speak about something that happened to me before. And yep.
And I love her solution. I thought that was brilliant.
Yeah. I mean, because if you're going to have a conflict, you got to have a way to move forward. And I love it. I love it. That's what this show does good. Always providing ways to overcome these societal situations and predicaments that us folks are constantly chained to.
Right. Exactly.
But we get Lisa and Will showing up to school. Drew mugging Will. But Drew also approaching Lisa like, yo, what's good with you and Will skipping first period? And Drew's like, I just want honesty. And, well, they both kind of pointed at each other like, you talking about honesty? Well, you weren't honest about, what happened with Carlton.
Still got out. Yeah.
And Lisa says, listen, if you got something you want to ask, then ask it, which is a cold answer to give somebody you messing with right here. But he does come around and say, I just want you to be honest, man. Like, I need to know what's up with y'all two. And I think he says a little bit later, but I'll just say it now. He says, man, we can't actually move forward as a couple if you're not going to get over him. Well, there's a check on the board for you, adversary, in terms of where Lisa stands, because I think when, as a guy, if you're dating somebody and you feel that, I mean, listen, they'll pin it on you as if you're being insecure. Do you think he's being insecure right now?
With Drew, like, yes and no. And the only reason I feel like there's some duality to that answer is because Drew's motives, or the way he goes about proving his motives, are not honorable. It would be a different story if he was just shooting straight. But it's like you jump through every hoop you can to sabotage Carlton when Carlton was never really a threat or an issue to your relationship. Now you wish you could throw some dirt on Will, but you can't. And by the truth leaking about the video, now it casts him in the very light he's trying to cast everybody else.
Yeah. Here's what I'm going to say real quick.
Mm-hmm.
Drew is nothing but the Black Harvey Levin. If you don't know that name, it's the host of TMZ, because that's exactly what the approach is terms of like, do you like TMZ? Most of the time it's not. But when it comes to them exposing something, they get it. They get it. You don't have to worry about it. They gonna put it out there. And I think that's kind of what Drew is to the show, is that Drew has been trying to expose Carlton as the fraud he is. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. Carlton is a fraud, and Drew ain't rocking. Drew is part of the BSM, says this guy comes in infiltrating our space as a fraud. He's on my bad list. I'm going to give him all credit for that. the way how he goes about it in such a sleazy way,
that's
it's like TMZ. They roll up on you at the airport at your lunch brunch spot,
wiping crust out your eye. Exactly.
Got you. But if they're gonna get that scoop, you know. Yeah. And I think in terms of how he's going about with this relationship, I think that he gives Lisa fair warning and he tries to be kind of unbiased about it, but yet it seems very tactical in him going after Carlton, which
to try,
and like it's personable for Lisa because that's like fam to her. So like it's hard.
And this is where you have the Derek Jackson dynamic that I spoke about last week. That's the point. That's some Derek Jackson shit. That's what Derek Jackson would do.
But Derek Jackson was a completely fraud, though.
He was a
complete fraud.
I feel like Drew the same way.
How is he a fraud, though?
Because are you exposing Carlton because you're really upset that he's lying to people, or are you exposing Carlton because you try and get in Lisa draws?
But he got Lisa.
What did he? Apparently not. They was
okay
for a little bit, but he ain't get her. And even at the point when he did have her, it was after like he had done a bunch of BS. So it's like, that's what I can't respect. If you're gonna expose something because that's just what you doing and that's who you are, you want people to know the truth, cool, I give you that. But if you're trying to expose somebody as a means to an ends, you just as fake as the dude you exposing. Come on, bro.
I gotta look myself in the mirror here because I think the way how he goes about it. And again, I think like the conversation we had a couple episodes in terms of who we know Drew will become. I can get with that. But it's hard to say he's a fraud when he hasn't done anything that wasn't truthful. When it came down to exposing Carlton for everything Carlton is, he has been A1. Exposing who he's hanging with, exposing you know, his what he thinks he's up to. You know, exposing him coming into the BSM and thinks he's like going to be, you know, pro-black in terms of like the elevation of the black space, where he's still going back hanging with Connor and giving Connor that pass because of that video. I mean, it's extremely hard to be mad at Drew when we have Carlton out here completely being a fuckboy.
Yeah, and that's why I say like I say, for me, there's the duality. I respect that aspect of it, but for me, the actions are just as important as the intention. So if you're taking action, that's one thing. What's your intention behind the action? Yeah. If that ain't right, then I can't totally respect the action because you're not doing it for what it's supposed to be done for. You're doing it as a means to an ends for personal gain. Sound like a politician to me.
Fair. Honestly, like straight up, and again, folks, get in the comments, let us know your thought about this conversation right here. I think that everything he's doing has nothing to do with Lisa for the majority. I think it has to do with him exposing Carlton, and that's one thing. But I also think while it's a parallel effort in terms of having Lisa and also wanting to please her, but also trying to prevent her from making a bad decision in terms of don't forget. Carlton tried to try his hand again, which is also very sleazy, bro.
You know what? I can understand that from his character because remember, it's the same thing in season 1 when he had to come to terms with the fact that she was dating Will. It's like the way he feels about her, he's always felt that way. He just had to come to the realization that she's not there anymore. You know what I mean? That's the real thing that happens in relationships. Yeah. But with Drew, it's like even with him talking to Lisa, all right. It's a messy situation already because all y'all in the same space. If you're gonna date the girl or talk to the girl or mess with the girl, just keep, low key do y'all thing. Don't try to walk with her and flaunt her and hold her hand when you see Carlton hit the corner. It's like
it's high school.
Yeah, so that's why I can't respect it, dog. It's like that's why Carlton beat his ass. Cool,
man. But it's your girl, bro. And listen, you know the code. Don't leave your girl around me. And that's what Will did.
Feel me? At the very least, if you're going to do that, dog, have some decency and just, don't keep it out of my line of sight. But what I will give Drew credit for is what he said to Carlton in this episode. I get before the the ceremony for the award where he was like, bro, you're not that dumb. You're smart. You know you a fraud. That was some real stuff. That convo they had, that quick little back and forth, that was real. And I credit Drew for that. He told him some stuff.
I'm also going to say this, and we go to the next part, is that Lisa plays a part into all of this too. Lisa had no business, and this is questionable, and I know this is going to have mixed reactions or mixed feelings, but her asking Will to take her to the hospital should have also extended the same invitation to Drew, because that is her dude. And while she was having that is her dude. That's her dude, bro. That's her dude. This whole conversation means nothing if that's not her dude. If that ain't her dude,
I feel like they was talking, or the way they made it look like they was kind of talking or kind of messing with each other to a degree. But then it's like, then the next episode they beefing again, or now she not rocking with him no more. So I don't know.
Temptation. Listen, she's on a yo-yo leash with Will. If Will fucking with her, did she fucking with Will? If Will ain't fucking with her, did she fucking with Drew? So this thing, every time Will and Jackie off, then Will and Lisa on, then Jackie, then Will and then Lisa and Drew off. It's optics. Let's talk about Will and Ty, his ex-teammate, and he looks and says, Carlton hanging with Connor again, they're boys again. And Will says, can't nobody help nobody who don't want to help themselves. Bingo. Phil and Viv, they're talking about the whole her issues and everything. Okay, first of all, Phil is coming and talk about what he's doing, getting his plan into place with his new law firm. But then Viv is talking about the struggle she's having with the fellowship journey, the whole fellowship thing and the journey with it. And Phil is like, is it time to let it go? Because it seems to be more lows than highs. And I don't like seeing you stress. And Viv goes off because it is like a pattern. Yeah. Because
I felt where she was coming from with that. That's real.
When I push you to your obstacles, you're telling me to run from mine. That
real.
And then, as we mentioned earlier about like the issue with them pinning black women against each other. So Viv understands the mission here, but she doesn't have the support from Phil just yet. But, she had to chew him out the way she did so that Phil can understand that, like, while his advice that he may give to his kids, his legal advice that he may give to his clients, you can't do that with your wife, boy. You got to come correct. You got to support her to all degrees, even if it doesn't seem like there's light at the end of the tunnel, because that's what she wants to do. He was speaking from a legal standpoint of saying, like, this doesn't seem like a good investment. Maybe you should bail.
I felt where you're coming from.
Yeah, and like it's tough, hard. Man. Once he
it's hard, and I understand Phil's point of view as well, because it's like at the end of the day, like I said, that's his wife. He don't want to see her in a state of anger, confusion, whatever it is. So I get that, but like you said, if that's something she's passionate about and she wants to see it through, all she's looking for is just the support. Just let me know that you
support.
And even if I go fall flat on my face, at least she was in my corner when I did.
Yeah,
and I get that.
That's what it is. That's what it is. So Will FaceTimes his mom and he's crying. He's completely broken right now. And he talks about just the effects of his father and Lou and that whole predicament. And him saying that, like, why does it feel like he still need him? And he also shares about, putting faith into people who keeps letting him down. But Mom Dukes comes through with the advice saying, man, listen, it is time for you to stop searching outward for your solutions and for your help. And you need to search in yourself, because maybe the answers you're looking for is right there in the first place. Yeah. Always call, phone home when in doubt, Mom Dukes. Vi is going to make sure that you good. So good to see Vi appearing again. I don't think we had her at all this season.
Since the one,
yeah. So Hilary, and now it's a war between Jazz and LaMarcus, and this scene has a lot of dialogue here, and we're not even going to break it all down. But this truly was not about Jazz versus LaMarcus in terms of the decision that Hilary should make in terms of going to Paris or not. But in fact, It was about them using the excuse of that situation for Phil and Viv to take shots at each other. And I love at the end where they were just kind of like,
do what you got to do.
Just do what you got to do. Do what's best for you.
Do what you think.
All that bickering, not to even give a decision, just to say, blah, 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 but do what you want to do. And honestly, why it seems foolish, when it comes down to people making a decision about love, that is the absolutely only answer you give them, because they're never going to listen to what you have to say. They're never even going to listen to their own mind. It's going to come to their heart, which means do what you feel is best.
If they do listen to you and it goes left, guess whose fault it is? Guess who's getting the blame? Guess who's getting that phone call?
I guess.
Best bet is, you know what? This is what I think. However, I defer to you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, Carlton is making a speech about the initiative to help students on mental health. Drew is smirking, and we have this moment of Drew and Carlton. And Carl, as you said, and as I said, Drew is saying, "You know who you are, a fucking fraud." And he says, "I'm not the bad guy here. You are."
That was some real I can't. I'm not a Drew fan, but that
he's talking to you.
Was 1,000.
Yeah, he's talking to you. Listen, he's not one of my favorite characters, but like it's hard for me to figure a reason why I don't like him, because he's just kind of just been very honest about his whole tactics. Sure, he's withheld some information like leaking the video, but again, my man Future is at TMZ. He out here getting the scoop, leaking these videos, and bringing to the light of these things that were once in the dark that people didn't think was going to get seen. And well, just like we've seen Dana White hitting his wife inside the club, and no one thought that would get out. But there it is. And Ray Rice and TMZ has put out a lot of things that are really ugly.
Yeah, and I'd be wondering about TMZ, but that's a conversation for another day. I just want to know how they seem to know exactly where to be every time something pops off.
That's because Drew made the worst mistake of his career. Instead of him leaking this content out to the school, he could have went right to Harvey, got a couple of stacks for it.
He be everywhere. Breaking news. This just in. So-and-so got shot. Wait a minute. Oh, TMZ's here. Like it's like they just be around the corner just waiting.
People sell their content to them. That's what it is. And they're like, oh, we'll take that. Cut the check and they on. That's what it is. They throw their watermark on it and then that's a wrap, you know? Anyway, Will brings the Zenith ballers in to talk to Phil because Phil had decided not to help, but now he's open to hearing their story. I mean, and these players all have very unique stories as they are character witnesses to Doc, and Doc isn't a monster because Doc has helped them, and they have detailed stories about how, which we see in this scene, that in terms of the editing of this episode, we're also going back to dialogue in which Doc was saying things, and now Phil is being able to put together the full story because he's hearing it from the player's side, which again, as character witnesses, as a legal person, this is something that he says, okay, doesn't seem like a lot of risk. There seems to be a lot of truth here. Let's go make it out. And again, I think that this is important because as the other person on the side of the screen has tried for numerous episodes to try to make Doc a monster, here we go again, 10 episodes in another case of do not judge a book by its cover. Doc actually wasn't a bad person.
He wasn't the bad guy, even though every corner they tried to make it look like he was, but he wasn't. And I think it had to happen the way it did. Like after Will spoke to his mom, I think that's when I did, you know what, let me go get the teammates, let them talk to Uncle Phil. And after getting all of the backstory, not even so much from the teammates, but just what the scenario was of why Lorenzo was trying to extort him, it reminds me of the Finesse 2 times, John. Oh, it's cool when they do it. It's a problem when I do it. If you look at the overall situation, you know what I mean? All these universities, all these colleges, all these entities getting millions off the backs of our boys who get nothing. Y'all get endorsements, we don't get no money. Y'all get your your enrollment increase because of the sports, and we don't get nothing from that. Y'all get all the shine, y'all get the prestige, y'all get labeled D1, D whatever, this league, this division, and they get nothing. So it's like now a brother figured out a way to manipulate the system, and now it's a problem.
Yeah, it's true. And I was just watching I was just watching, actually I was watching something that hasn't been released yet, but this episode will be out this Friday, of Blind Spotting on Stars, and there's a bit of dialogue that also further explains, the narrative that you're saying here, in terms of like other people try to bend the rules, and when we try to bend the rules, it's a problem always. And
bro, it's the same thing, like even from I don't know if pride is the right word, but being proud, I'll say that, being proud, it's the same thing. Groups of people come in, this is where I'm from, this is my country, this we're celebrating our art and our culture, and it's all good. As soon as some brothers show up and want to celebrate who they are, or some sisters show up, as we saw with the LSUs, and it's a whole issue. Same thing. You can't see me. It's cool when she did it. She's straight. I literally do the same thing for the next 7 days. That's all. Y'all ain't even talking about the fact that we won the championship. Literally. The whole dialogue is just, unsportsmanlike, this. But the other girl just did it. And y'all didn't have before. Come on, bro.
Yeah. So we get Janice and Viv part 2, where now we get them explaining about what's happening here, and the media trying to pin 2 black women against us, and they're gonna have a good the media's gonna have a good old time with that. But Viv says, let me write our own story here. Let me write in terms of your legacy, wanting your legacy to continue, and there being a person that looks like us to do so. Let me carry the torch, somebody that will, because if we don't, then we know there may be a chance that the next person may not look like us. And listen, I'm not backing down, Janice. It's time for you to move on, which is really, really powerful thing for her to say, and for her to stand on her own 2 feet. Which is special about this is because we've seen Viv struggle to make her own decision this entire season. So when she got this very, very, very important moment in her career, she stood tall and proud and says, I ain't backing down. This is what it's going to be. You're either with me or you're not. What a moment for Viv. What a art for Viv this season. Now we have Doc and Lorenzo and Phil, which the way how they showed, as he says, meet my lawyer, and the way they had Phil turn around and stand up, I said, oh yeah, this is about to be a scene. But this was the gangster feel that Doc wanted. And I love how these two played off of each other like they had been doing this a long, long, long time. And he says, check your records. Seen your boys got.
This is interesting.
Yeah.
You may have, but you didn't.
Yeah. Your boys in the pen, but you out, huh? Start digging a little deeper. Looks like you cooperating with the feds for your freedom. Doc stands by and says, you think the homies might be interested in that, huh? Which I love. Saying, listen, man, you out here snitching. You don't want that thing. You so hood, but you out here snitching.
Exactly, and that's the difference. We from this element, but I'm not there anymore. I've moved on. I'm in a different space. I'm around different people. You still in the hood. So if word get out that you running your mouth, it's not going for you, bro.
Yeah, and then he, Zoe talking about you too good for hood money now. But he said, basically storms off like, man, forget this conversation. This ain't rocking the way I wanted to be. Just for G to be at the door and said, nah, my brother. So combo not over here.
What?
Which has him to take another look at the deal that plays here.
Which made him to sign, right? You're getting double the money now. Sign the paper about your business, bro.
Yeah. And this becomes kind of personal for Phil too, because he says, like, listen, no partnership lasts forever. I get it. Yeah. Because he's talking about him and James and the law firm, and you kind of got to go off to your new venture. And he says, listen, with this money, start your own team, recruit your own folks, do what you want to do, bro. This is a generous buyout. Double what you're asking. Take the offer and let the kids go back to doing what they do, man.
Yeah, I respect it.
Yeah. G, my man. For real, for real.
That's some gangsters. I don't know how I'd react if I got to a door in the back and told me now the conversation ain't over. I don't know what I'm doing right now. I guess it's how I feel in the moment, but that was some gangster stuff.
Here's a little bit of legal a legal caveat here. You know, when you force somebody to sign something, that technically do not make it legally binding. So if Zoe had any bit of legal experience or knowledge, he can sign whatever you want to sign, but he can be like, man, they forced me to do it. That dude right there, that dude right there, yeah, with the beard, G, yeah, him. They go about, oh yeah, I believe you.
That would backfire. That would be the double backfire because he's snitching for real. Get him. Get him.
Yeah. So Will back at Venice, and the basketball team show up. Ty and the coach and whatnot. So we got Bel-Air versus Zenith because they listen, man. If y'all gonna win a championship, you need to get in some reps with some of the best players out here right now. Which in this case, the coach realized that Will isn't so selfish, where he wants to see the team win, even though he's not on the team, and says, hey, guess what? Senior year, you got a spot on the team if you want. He says, thank you. And it's ball time. We're gonna see a very that's what they should have showed. They should have showed them players getting shitted on by the senior players. man, that would have been funny. So what we got now? So we got Phil and G at the new office here, and they're ready to build the empire. G got his office. G talks about keep getting missed calls from unknown number, and when he picks it up, no one answers. Creepy. Probably not spam, but definitely suspicious. But Erica comes in and says, you know what? I agree. This was a smart business move. All the partners at the firm have agreed, and so on. She said, you deserve this. We deserve this. And kisses my man. And Phil says, we got to keep this professional. Leaves him a bottle. And then G says, it's time to rethink this, man, because it just still time to rethink this, because if a woman desires you like that, that could be a problem. Be careful, my brother. I want to say one thing and I'm going to give it to you. G wasn't even in the room and already had peep game. My man was in his office checking it out and had already knew all that happened. My man G ain't nothing getting past G. You can believe that. G like a security system at the Pentagon. Like, you ain't sneaking past G without somebody seeing something and knowing something, because G just that thorough. But what did you think about this interaction with Erica? And
mad that they waited till the last episode to do it. I knew that was coming. It's been brewing for about the last three episodes. She so cleverly tried to sneak it in, because you could, as soon as she hugged him, I was like, "Watch, she about to kiss, she about to." Oh, she kissed him. Like, but I don't. Phil's reaction, because that was the question. What we know it's going to happen. The question is, how does Phil react? And I liked how he reacted. It was quick. It was, oh, shawty, what you doing? Chill. Look, we just discussed it. Look, man, we're going to be working. We got it. And it was cool. And then Jeffrey came and just gave him the friendly one. I think we had spoke about this too a few episodes back. Like, yo, if I'm tripping, I want my homie to let me know. Now, in this case, I can't say Phil was tripping, because that was Erica that pulled the move. But Jeffrey did give him words of wisdom. Hey, bro, this road you're going down, some sharp turns. Be careful. Reverse. Well, I kind of got to drive down a little bit, but I got it, though. I got my cruise control. I'm all right. So there you have it. You know what I mean? You see what's brewing. Do you really want to keep letting it cook? I mean, or you want to switch to another meal? What we going to do? And then Phil, well, I did eat earlier, but I still got room to eat. Let me eat a little more. I'm all right. I'll figure it out. Yeah.
All right. Carlton, Will and Carlton just kind of hashing out their differences together. And as I said earlier, he tells Carlton, you're still my ace, and Carlton just kind of just taking it in. Will and Phil, as Will shares sentiments to Phil, like, I'm glad I got an Uncle Phil, because all the other Zenith ballers also said they wish they had one too. But he's in his tux because everybody dressed up. He also mentioned like maybe he may take up being a lawyer, so he can help athletes out, which is dope. dope way of leveraging this little hiccup in your life and starting to grow some wings into other opportunities and ventures down the line. But Will, Carlton, Phil says, looking at the two kings, and Ashley comes in and really shakes things up by saying, look at my two brothers. I look up to you two. Thank you both for all you've done, because she's acknowledging everything that they have done for her. So she gives her speech about what Will has done and gives her speech about what Carlton's done, gives them a card and wishes them both as they get ready for the Founders Award announcement ceremony. And Carlton's looking kind of clueless right now. Because he's Carlton. Weird right now. So we get at the ceremony now, and G and Phil sidebar for a second, and he said, I traced the calls. They're coming from East London. We get to see Lisa and Drew. Drew admits that he leaked the video. And I guess he decides that he wants to sort of open up about his truths, but he also says like, I'm calling bullshit when I see it, and he says like, when it comes down to Will and you'll never be open to me because you can't get over him, which I mentioned earlier. Jazz and Will make up because they're brothers too. No reason to keep that beef going, and they do the shake because you got to do the shake. You got to do the handshake. You got to give us that every single time here. But he asks us about Hilary and says, oh, man, what if I told you she was on a plane to Paris? And he says, wow, I felt like I messed up on the best thing that's ever happened to me. And then Will says, well, I was just basically hypothetically saying, but it's not too late. And that makes Jazz goes and run off. Doc shows up and he tells Doc, like, listen, I'm only in this because of the advice that you gave me. And Doc says, I'm proud of you for listening to me. But we see Doc and Phil just hanging out. They're cool, man, which is a big turning of the page from the two of them who had not always been on the same page. And then Jackie shows up looking right. Should I just add? Lisa's also in the back, as we mentioned. Will's in the middle. Then also Aunt Viv comes over and acknowledges Jackie. Will takes this moment to run off. We also see Ashley and Olivia. And
yeah, we knew
Ashley, that. So I did not see this coming, but
bro, I seen it as soon as she said I didn't snitch on you. I already knew what time it was.
Yeah. So this were bitter enemies till now. Well, we know Ashley's been, has been open about her sexuality or sexual preference, but we see Olivia also wearing a rainbow flag, which Ashley eyed on immediately. And before Olivia can even finish about asking to hang out for the summer, Ashley automatically jumped in and says, definitely. Not even a question, definitely.
Yeah, I saw that one coming, bro. That was... I thought it was foreshadowed fairly clearly when they sat down and hashed out the issue with the teacher.
I missed that. I didn't think she would have something for her. I thought they would just become friends and maybe like this would help. Maybe Olivia be open about her sexuality, but I didn't think she was, going to be queer too.
Yeah, I did. I saw it coming, bro. I was like, oh, that's the love interest right there.
It's just so odd that like, how would that not been a frontal thing about them before the beef was like? I don't know. I did not see this just progress the way it did.
When they showed the other girl, there was no backstory. There was just you just saw.
Right. That's what I mean. Yeah.
Yeah. But once they sat down and she was like, I didn't tell. Some of the other kids was upset, but I never said nothing. And she was like, oh, for real? Yeah. Then they start complimenting. Yeah, you know what? Now that I'm around you, I thought you were stuff. Oh yeah, you know what? You're kind of cool too. So I was like, dog, that's about to be her joke. Like, they setting it up. So it wasn't a surprise to me this episode when everything was made clear and brought to the forefront. It was like, yeah, I expected that.
Yeah. All right. Anything you want to add? Any other commentary about the pre-ceremony stuff?
No, the only other thing I was gonna say is just the speech where Carlton,
yeah,
finally, And I'm glad. And like I said, that whole thing that Drew said, it was real. I think that kind of hit him as he was starting to give his speech.
Yeah, hold on. We ain't at the speech yet. If you want to talk about the speech, let's
Oh,
get to the speech.
go
Yeah,
ahead.
right. Yeah. So we're at Lisa and Will as they go to the back room, and this is where they just kiss and make up. And Will makes his declaration of like no one has. First, Lisa said no one has to get hurt if there's no feeling involved. But Will wouldn't even try to hear that, and well, they go for it and they have their moment. And there's that. Carlton in the locker, hitting a bump. And Ashley comes and sees him as Ashley brings him something and asks, "What are you doing?" Because I wanted to give you something. And Carlton's kind of like, "Oh, no, it's just Xanax."
X.
But Ashley looks completely disappointed and then proceeds to say, "I'm not stupid." And then Carlton spazzes at her and says, Can't you just let this go?" Yells at her, kind of grabs her up, but instantly regrets it. Ashley's scared. She's actually tetrified because she's probably never seen him like this at all. This is going to be completely triggering for her for a while because this is her brother, and her brother kind of handled her in a bit of a rage because of his yeah, exactly. And then just the characteristics of being a drug addict. This is what they do. And nothing comes in between from that person getting their fix. And this was one of the many examples that we've seen of Carlton, but we've never seen him do this to poor Ashley. Which by all means, here we protect Ashley. What's your thoughts about this?
It was a very telling moment. I think what kind of got me the most is when he tried to lie to her after he was caught red-handed, and she hit him with the like, "Come on, bro, I'm not stupid." And he was like, "Let it go," and she's like, "I can't." So you see the love. They're like, "Yeah, I know saying something's gonna get you in trouble, but you my brother, I can't let you self-destruct." And then his response was the natural response: "Don't you freaking say anything." And then she just gets scared and is like, all right. And so she doesn't say anything. So I thought it was very telling. And again, it kind of foreshadowed what was going to come next. So when as the scene plays out, I'm like, yeah, I kind of saw that coming.
Hated this scene, man. Hated it had to be like this.
I hated it had to happen the way it did, but I saw it coming. And I think for the writer's purpose, for the sake of just the plot, it had to happen that way because that was the only way it was going to be real to Carlton himself. If he didn't do it the way he did it there, he would have slid back he would have ended up finding an excuse or a reason to go back to his old ways. It happened in that way.
Yeah, I hate it. So I just let it be. Anyway, we get this scene that's shot really beautifully of Jazz at the shop at night. And we see her knocking on the door, and we see Jazz looks back, and at the same time, we see LaMarcus opens up the door, and Hilary's at LaMarcus' door, and UPS is at Jazz's door, it's just. Wait, is this the scene here? I'm sorry. I'm actually at the wrong scene. I'm sorry. I'm looking at my notes kind of crazy. This is actually where Hilary is packing in the door knocks, and Jazz shows up and now says, "Listen," she says, "this is not a good time." And then he says that I don't want to left anything unsaid. She talks about what the breakup did for her in terms of being very depressing. And then they have a heart to heart. And she says, "Listen, while you were protecting your heart, no one was there to protect mine." And then he said, "Love's hurt." And he says, "That's right. I love you. And I've never told another woman that besides my mom." And then she says, "Well, can you promise me it will never hurt again?" And he says, "No, I can't, but I'm willing to take that chance with you." Hilary says, "I don't know." But he says, "When you do, you know where I'll be." And then they kiss. Yeah. What did you think of this?
Very typical as far as dramas are concerned. I would have liked to see them maybe throw a twist, and even if it's a small one. But we saw what happened up to that point, everything that led to that point. Jazz coming through and just breaking and being honest and telling her the truth. And I think, and what he said, like basically, I guess I was just trying to put you away before you had the chance to do it to me, because he always felt insecure to a degree, like he wasn't on her level, or he couldn't he wouldn't be able to hold her interest. And then the whole time you find out, nah, bro, she was really into you, she was really on you. And because she said, like, this breakup did say, she didn't even do that with LaMarcus, but with him, it hurt her enough where she canceled all the appointments, stayed in bed, didn't do, you know what I mean? So I understand both sides of that argument. I can see where they're both coming from. And I think Jazz did the only thing he really could do. That's his only real option. Listen, this how I really feel. Forget everything. This how I feel. Boom, boom, boom. Now you know. She kind of lets him know, yeah, I kind of feel the same way. All right, cool. What we about to do about it? And then her response, well, we decide to do anything, can you promise that you ain't gonna hurt me like that, or that it ain't gonna feel like that? And then and I like that he kept it 100. No, I cannot guarantee that.
Yeah, man.
You really, because most people are like, I promise, knowing damn well that you can't control the future. So I like to be honest with her, and because of his honesty, he didn't get the answer he wanted, but he kept it a buck. Well, listen, you figure it out, and when you ready, you know where to find me. That's all. He couldn't do nothing more than that.
Listen, I'm gonna tell you that honesty is gonna go a long way, because while we have LaMarcus selling all the dreams and have been truly able to satisfy and sort of, what's the word? I'm also tripping on word. Yeah, fulfill those dreams.
Yeah.
There's gonna be a moment where he's not, because his availability, his accessibility, his emotional availability, all of those things are going to go away, because it's not going to be what Hilary needs. Remember, Hilary just clearly exposed that this breakup caused her to go into a depression. If LaMarcus is not able to be there to aid her through this, it's not going to work. Where Jazz will, because it's the lessons learned. And while he understands, and while he'll be in the trenches with her, he will be there for her. He always has been there for her. She's mentioned he's always been there for her. That's much more powerful and much more
valuable.
Yes, valuable. God, thank you, sir. Valuable than anything financially. So that's my prediction going forward. God, thank you. I don't know why I'm struggling on words. I know y'all about to go in the comments like, man, what is he talking about? Listen, it's been a long day, man. But that's okay. We got this for you all. We're getting ready to wrap up in a second here. But we're at the Founders Award ceremony as Miss Basson is there to present it. First thing I said was, oh, here comes the swindle.
Yep.
And what do you know? Carlton Banks wins it. Ashley does not stand or cheer. She is straight off her like, that ain't my president. She looking like I ain't my guy. But Will celebrates for him and gives him his affirmations and, boost him up a little bit before he gets up there. Also, G is looking like, because it's G, nothing gets past G. But anyway, he starts off by saying, all these sorts of different things. Thank you this, thank you that. But thank you to my family, because without you, I am in a long, 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 long pause. As he decides to look at Ashley, and then he decides to keep it real and says that I'm a drug addict. And to sum it up, he manipulates everybody's around him. Drew instantly looks at Lisa. I instantly look at adversary in terms of like, see, fraud. And Drew like, I've been trying to see, if Drew was a real Bama, he would have got up right then and started clapping or did something. So he has a little level of decency. Okay.
I don't even think he got decency. I think he was just so stunned by it that he didn't know what to do. Because he ain't know what to do.
Yeah. But with that being said, G looks almost in a sigh of relief because he already knew. But as he said, listen, I'm nobody's hero, and I'm sorry, and he walks off stage. What'd you think about the speech right here, man?
I thought, like I said, there was the breaking point that needed to be achieved, man. It's the age-old destroy and rebuild, right? Before you new building up, you got to knock that old one down. Yeah. So that was very, indicative of what happened. He built himself up to a point. I can't do this no more. I can't go any further. I can't wear this cloak, this mask that I've been putting on for all these. Can't do it. It takes too much energy to put it on and keep it on. So I'm gonna break. I'm gonna let it shatter. And that's why I say he had to do it public. He had to. If he would have gave that same speech or said them same things in private or to a particular person, he would have slid back. But because he did it publicly, everyone was there. It was no holds barred. That was an internal thing that needed to happen. So now he's broken his old self, and he can actually mentally get into space to build his new self.
Yeah.
So I thought it was great. They needed to happen.
Yeah. So back home, Viv said cocaine.
Drake!
Cocaine. But anyway, this is serious, and Phil ain't rocking. Phil ain't got no time for this soft approach, Viv. Back away. Let me talk to my son.
Let me talk to my son, please. Okay.
Yeah, he ready to go off on this guy. But he said, "How long have you been doing it?" I mean, Phil has a lot of questions. But how long are you doing this? Which we found out he's been doing it for 2 to 3 years, which is wild because, well, that means he's been doing it before this show even started, before we got even acclimated to who he is, which means he's been doing it since freshman year. If they're juniors getting ready to go into high school into senior year, been doing this since freshman year, and he said exactly what we all would have said. Well, you get it from everywhere. It's Bel-Air. I bust out laughing.
I loved again how Carlton was able to be the mirror to that situation, because while he's in the process of getting grilled, yeah, Dad, I know I'm not the son you wanted. This. He dropped some weight on Phil. I think that gave him pause, and Phil had to kind of rethink the approach. All right, do I just keep bombing on him? Or do I take a step back and maybe look at how I possibly could have indirectly contributed to this delinquency?
Yeah, but at the same time, too, Phil came in strong, and while Viv was trying to de-escalate it by saying, like, this ain't the time, he said, well, when is the time? And then he goes off because he says, how many times do I have to apologize for giving everybody a great fucking life? I'm tired of taking the blame. This is Phil hitting his breaking point because, he's getting mouth slander from Carlton in terms of, like, how many times I got to hear about this, and that. And then, Viv obviously being mad about his approach about things earlier. So he just went off about this, man. And I hate to say it, but, like, not only did he reach his breaking point with Carlton, I think he might have been a little bit irritated with Viv at this exact moment, which made him rethink about that decision that he made later on, because he says, I need a break, which is not good, sir. This is still cheating, but God knows that's probably what he was thinking in terms of decision. We'll talk about it in one quick second. But Viv and Phil, as they have their quick moment of saying, like, listen, mild apologies, but, like, we all need to give grace right now. They need to stick together to work through this. And this is where the last little scenes of this episode all start to lay out here. We got Hilary at Lamarcus' house. Jazz gets a package, closed shop. So we seen how that kind of went and how they beautifully shot that scene. G is looking at the mail, and he finds a picture of him and his son at lunch, which means someone else was in that little diner spying on them. And who the hell can spy on G and G not know?
Yeah, season 3, baby.
Season 3, or is this a spinoff? Is this the Hobbs and Shaw spinoff?
They do the spinoff. I'm watching every episode day one, dog. If they give my man Jeffrey a spinoff, I'm all the way in. I'm all the way.
Carlton looking at the note that Ashley, and then Phil comes in, gives him a hug. He completely breaks down, and so does Phil. They both share tears here, which Ollie's just been doing a fantastic job in his work with Carlton. I can't stress enough. And God, his name is slipping out of my head right now. Who plays Phil? Let me look this up really quick. Oh, Adrian. That's right, Adrian Holmes. Just fantastic job in his portrayal of Uncle Phil, which, You know, those were big shoes to fill, man. You know, coming after the late great James Avery. I know it's a different show, but Uncle Phil is probably the most iconic character on the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. I know that there's a Will Smith there, but Will Smith is Will Smith. But James Avery played the character in Uncle Phil, which
and the voice of the original Shredder in the animated series.
Oh yeah, I mean, oh yeah. No, so you want to talk about the catalog here? Listen here, but I mean,
but yeah, James Avery is a GOAT.
Yeah, just huge shoes to fill to come in and just completely kill it. Take this character and made it his own. Adrian's been fantastic, and I think that it was a good moment between the two of them right here. And I'm not just saying it because they cried, but I think like as a viewer, I think this was a moment that really cultivate all the hard work that these two have been putting in for 2 seasons. Man, they've been killing it. The Neiman vet passes the torch is the headline here, as we see Viv getting the right press here, which is great to see. But at the same time, she's looking for a rehab center.
Right.
Erica wants to have lunch with Phil, and my man says, "Nah, I'm good." Oh, wait a minute. Let me go ahead and delete all that, and says yes, which I think that his frustrations with everything earlier might have triggered him to decide, you know what? Let's just get away from everything. But this is a bad temptation. Obviously, as she said, be careful. Yeah, I want to get your assumption. Your summary of that. I'll give it to you in 1 second. But yeah, it's junior year, and Will says, "Who would have thought I will be the one to have my shit together?" But he says, "Yeah, man, I can't wait for senior year because I'm ready to give Bel-Air everything I got." She's like, "Yeah, but we got summertime, which the prince has arrived, baby. The summertime is probably going to be next season before we actually get the senior year." And then we get the iconic Summertime song by Will Smith, which was a dope ending for this season. And then, as I mentioned earlier, in the credits, at the very end of the credits, they give a special shout out to all the iconic original cast members, as well as love to James Avery. Sir, the last few scenes at the end of this season, the end of this episode, what is your thoughts? Give me some of your predictions, some of your theories. Just go ahead, man. It's your time to let the audience know what you're thinking.
I think the foundation was laid absolutely for season 3. They gave you all the little cliffhangers. They gave you all the little pop-ups you needed. They give you, you got about 4 different storylines you want to see now. Well, what's going to happen in the summer? Who's following Jeffrey? Does Carlton recover? How does that look? What happens after Phil goes to dinner? Is Erica going to try her hand there? Is he going to allow her to try her hand? Will he end up trying his hand first? Like, stay tuned for the next episode of Dragon Ball Z. Everything is there for season 3. So I'm excited. I'm looking forward to it. I hope it gets green lighted, but I'm pretty sure it will. And I'm just going to sit back and watch the writers do their magic and the act portray it. I can't wait.
All right. Well, I have nothing else to say. I enjoyed this season. Hopefully you all did too. Hopefully you all loved our commentary, our recap reviews of this season. We'll obviously be back for more seasons to come. Adversary will have his mic, and hopefully don't give anybody vertigo from his shaky camera. If there's a will, there's a way. But nonetheless, we did have a great time with this show, with this season, and we'll put out that good positive energy for more seasons to come. But you all, it is time for you all to get in the comments. Let us know your thoughts. Make sure you have subscribed. Make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you share it to other folks. Let us know the things that you enjoyed about this season, this episode. Let us know your theories, your predictions for seasons to come. Let Peacock know that you enjoyed this, because we want to have many more seasons. Because I swear, if I hear that this gets canceled, my heart is going to be broken. Just like I was like with Paper Girls with on Amazon, and what's that show on Netflix? Sense8. The shows I really liked that just somehow got canceled. We all got our favorite shows. We never want them to go. just like when Manifest went away, then it came back, which I'm happy about. You know, I want to see this have many more seasons. So, but yeah, for Adversary and myself, we are out. Thank y'all for tuning in. We'll see you back next season, folks. Take care.